Casting in Hollywood can be a thorny thicket at the best of times. For as much as an inspired casting decision speaks for itself, often it feels like filmmakers are just throwing darts at a board and hoping for the best. And this isn't a fact that's lost on actors themselves, who, while usually grateful for the work, have occasionally admitted how utterly wrong they felt for a part. This typically comes down to actors feeling that older or more physically suitable performers should have taken the part instead, and very occasionally they'll even single out a specific actor who they felt was more appropriate. Whatever their reasoning though, these 10 actors all felt that they weren't really the tightest fit for their respective roles, even if they forged ahead regardless, and in many cases even ended up receiving major awards, acclaim, and even Oscar wins for their work. As much as A-list actors might so often seem like indefatigable pillars of confident self-assurance, this lot were well aware there were probably better choices out there. I am Kirsten from What Culture, and these are 10 actors who thought that other actors were better for their role.
Before we go any further though, this video is brought to you by Surfshark. What's Surfshark, I hear you ask?
What's Surfshark?
Surfshark is a VPN, that is a virtual private network that basically helps to keep all the private stuff that you want to remain safe, private and safe. Online privacy, data encryption and all that. But, and this is the best part, you can even change location so you can watch content from other countries. So maybe you want to watch some American Netflix. Howdy partner, want to watch new episodes of 90 Day Fiancé? Or maybe you want to go to Australia. G'day mate, how about watch some Aussie Hulu with a bloody kangaroo? Or even...
Hey, we get it.
In all seriousness though, it really is great. And maybe if you're travelling somewhere and you're British and you want to watch good old BBC iPlayer, you can do that as well. I think I broke it. Plus, with our promo code, you get 83% off and 3 months free. The link is in the description and the promo code is, of course, What Culture. Find out more at surfshark.com, and if you're not happy, there's even a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks to Surfshark, and now, back to the video.
Number 10, Michael Fassbender, Steve Jobs. Though Michael Fassbender ended up receiving a Best Actor Oscar nomination for his performance as Steve Jobs in Danny Boyle's eponymous biopic, it's fair to say that many still felt he was a peculiar pick to play the Apple magnate, given how he neither sounds nor looks anything like the man. Believe it or not, this was a sentiment shared by none other than Fassbender himself, who only ended up taking the role after negotiations with Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck and Bradley Cooper all fell through. Upon receiving the script, he immediately felt he was wrong for the part, saying, "This should be somebody else. It's a miscast scenario." More specifically, he was puzzled that Christian Bale didn't take the part, later adding, "I thought to myself, Christian Bale is perfect. Why isn't he doing it? I actually called him up and told him that myself." It's certainly easy to appreciate that Bale bears a far greater physical resemblance to Jobs, yet Fassbender still gave a terrific performance regardless, so it was hard to feel much shortchanged by the end result. Number 9, Jennifer Lawrence, Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle, Joy, and Mother. Despite having 4 Oscar nominations to her name by the age of 25, with one translating into a win, Jennifer Lawrence has kept her ego impressively in check over the years, maintaining an endearing modesty about her career. While it's often been stated that Lawrence gets routinely cast in roles which she's simply too young for, the actress herself has freely admitted that she's won parts which would be a better fit for an older actress. In an interview to promote Joy, Lawrence opened up about being cast young for not only that movie, but also previous David O. Russell projects Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle. She said, "It's not like I was old enough for American Hustle, and I was way too young for Silver Linings Playbook. That's why I almost didn't get it." Lawrence also had something of a crisis of confidence while gearing up to star in Darren Aronofsky's psychological horror film Mother, which you all know I absolutely loved. Initially calling herself severely miscast, but ultimately sticking with the project and delivering a strong, if bizarrely Razzie-nominated performance. Though Lawrence didn't name any specific replacements for these roles, it's clear she had a mighty bout of imposter syndrome in each case. Number 8, Topher Grace, Spider-Man 3. One of the most divisive casting choices in the history of the comic book genre is undeniably Topher Grace as Eddie Brock, aka Venom, in Spider-Man 3. For starters, Grace's slight build and not remotely intimidating demeanour couldn't have seemed much further from what comic book fans expected of Brock. And while the performance was ultimately slammed by most fans, Grace himself chimed in on the controversy in recent years, just as Sony was gearing up to release the Tom Hardy starring Venom movie. Grace was more surprised than anyone to be offered the part. I was a huge fan of the character of Venom when I was a kid. When Todd McFarlane brought him into the comic, I was a huge fan of it, and I was surprised and a little bit like, huh? When they wanted me to play it. But upon seeing Hardy in the trailers for Venom, Grace conceded that he was exactly the sort of actor who should really be playing Eddie Brock. He added, "So when I look at it now, at Tom Hardy in Venom, I go, that's the guy, in terms of how I think the guy should be played and who should play it." While Venom was a pure mess of a movie, critics and fans alike largely agreed that Hardy's off-the-wall performance was the most interesting and entertaining thing about it. Number 7, Viggo Mortensen, Green Book. Viggo Mortensen received a Best Actor Oscar nomination for his performance as Don Shirley's Reverend New Yorker driver Tony Lip in the Best Picture winning Green Book. Despite the general acclaim for Mortensen's performance, there were nevertheless those who felt his character was a little too much of an Italian-American caricature, something which Mortensen himself was incredibly wary of when the part was offered to him. In an interview, Mortensen said, "I had a lot of misgivings about it. The last thing that I wanted to do was a caricature. I said, you know, there's a lot of good Italian-American actors out there, and there's many memorable Italian-American characterizations on TV and in movies in recent years. You've got a lot of people to choose from." Though Mortensen originally planned to turn the part down, he eventually decided to sign on after considering how boneheaded he felt his own casting as Sigmund Freud was in David Cronenberg's film A Dangerous Method, and how satisfied he nevertheless was with the end result. Despite clearly seeing himself as an unnatural fit for Tony Lip, he was ultimately happy with his decision to stick with the film. "I trusted it, and I'm glad I did, because the moment I said yes and then met Tony's son and film co-writer Nick Vallelonga, and he basically shared his family with me and all their memories and recordings and everything, I started to feel immediately, okay, yeah, it's possible. It's going to take some work because it's a different kind of role than I've played before." Number 6, George Clooney, Batman and Robin. Despite George Clooney's obvious acting talents, his performance in the late great Joel Schumacher's doomed Batman and Robin was not good, to be kind, with the actor himself even admitting he was really bad in it. Over the years, Clooney has famously apologised for both the movie and in particular his performance, even agreeing to refund disappointed cinemagoers he encounters during his travels. But the film's non-quality wasn't exactly a shock to Clooney once the reviews hit. At the end of filming, he reportedly exclaimed, "I think we just killed the series," and for years afterwards blamed himself for ruining big screen Batman until Christopher Nolan resurrected it. Clooney was well aware he'd fallen short of the standard set by his predecessors Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer, and reiterated that he destroyed the part when asked about Ben Affleck's controversial casting as the Caped Crusader for Batman vs Superman. But Clooney doesn't regret taking the role because despite the film's critical and commercial failure, it helped him kick down doors in Hollywood. He said, "The truth is, Batman is still the biggest break I ever had. It changed my career. I wouldn't be doing this now if it hadn't been for Batman." However, in a hilarious attempt to keep his modesty in check, he still keeps a poster of the film in his home office. Number 5, Emma Stone, Aloha. Emma Stone was firmly raked over the coals by audiences for playing the part of a quarter Chinese, quarter Hawaiian Air Force pilot in Cameron Crowe's wretched 2015 drama Aloha. Stone's character, Captain Allison Ng, prompted accusations of whitewashing, that Stone was cynically taking a part away from a more ethically appropriate actor for the sheer sake of her more marketable name. Though Crowe and Stone both defended the casting as based on a real-life person, they also conceded that her playing the part was problematic by upholding existing structural prejudices within the film industry, that is, shutting out ethnic minorities in favour of the white majority. Stone apologised in a literally global fashion at the 2019 Golden Globe Awards, when Sandra Oh made a joke about the casting only for Stone to loudly shout, "I'm sorry!" from the stage. While Stone clearly didn't see herself above taking the part part when she was first cast back in 2012, she appreciates in retrospect that there were better suited actors for the role. Number 4. Christopher Eccleston, Gone in 60 Seconds. Christopher Eccleston is one of the most outspoken actors you'll find anywhere. He's freely criticised the BBC for apparently blacklisting him after quitting Doctor Who, while also railing against his work on both G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, I Just Wanted to Cut My Throat Every Day, and Thor: The Dark World, Just a Gun in Your Mouth. Eccleston's role in 2000's Gone in 60 Seconds seemed to mark his Hollywood breakthrough, and though the actor called working on the movie a good experience, he also minced no words about how poorly suited he was for the part. In his recent autobiography, he said his decision to play Brit gangster Raymond Calitri was cynical, idiotic, and taken for the wrong reasons. Despite expressing gratitude that he was allowed to speak in the movie with his natural Salford twang, he admitted he was only in it for the money, dubbing his work hollow and adding, "I hated myself so much I could barely look at my own reflection without wincing." Given his vocal aversion to playing generic British gangster baddies, he stated that playing Calitri cocked up his film career, and he evidently sees the part as more suitable for any number of jobbing Brit character actors. Number 3. Michael Gambon, Harry Potter. Michael Gambon's casting as Albus Dumbledore in 6 of the 8 Harry Potter movies is an especially interesting, not to mention tragic case, given that the role was initially played by Richard Harris in the first 2 Potter films. Harris sadly passed away shortly before the release of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, resulting in Gambon quickly being drafted in to fill his spot. Though Gambon was largely praised for his performance as Dumbledore, some fans nevertheless saw him as an inferior successor to Harris, a fact that the actor appears to be acutely aware of. After the series concluded, Gambon freely admitted, "All I did was copy Richard," paying tribute to his predecessor who clearly laid the foundations for his own performance. Number 2. Natalie Wood, The Searchers. The 1956 Western classic The Searchers is one of the strongest collaborations between director John Ford and star John Wayne. However, actress Natalie Wood considered herself a poor fit to play the supporting role of Debbie Edwards, the abducted niece of Wayne's steely protagonist Ethan Edwards. Wood, a product of the constricting Hollywood studio system of the era, was contractually obliged to play Debbie for Warner Brothers, who were single-mindedly concerned with finding an attractive, on-the-rise actress to put in their movie no matter what. Wood protested extensively against the casting, feeling that she was the wrong choice to play a young woman who is kidnapped and turned by the Native Americans. Wood even fought with her own mother about it, but contract ultimately won out, leading to the actress reportedly being miserable throughout production. Though Wood didn't much fancy herself for the role, it is nevertheless one of her best and most memorable performances. The fact that she didn't merely phone her work in after being forced to participate is a sure testament to the late actress's professionalism. Number 1. Mickey Rooney, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Though Breakfast at Tiffany's is undeniably one of the most iconic rom-coms of all time, a dark cloud nevertheless hangs over the movie due to the unfortunate casting of Mickey Rooney as Holly's Asian landlord, I.Y. Yunioshi. While the character is written as a broad Asian stereotype, this made many measures worse by the fact that Rooney, a white man, wears makeup and a prosthetic mouthpiece to more convincingly resemble a caricature of an Asian man. In more recent years, the film has been re-evaluated by audiences, with Rooney's performance being singled out as a classic example of both whitewashing and racism in Hollywood. Decades after the movie's release, a pained Rooney acknowledged the harm that the role caused, ultimately regretting that Yunioshi wasn't played instead by an Asian actor. He said, "I wouldn't offend any person, be they black, Asian, or whatever. It breaks my heart. Director Blake Edwards wanted me to do it because he was a comedy director. They hired me to do this overboard, and we had fun doing it. Looking back, I wish I had never done it, and I would give anything to be able to recast it, but it's there." Though simply recasting the role with an Asian actor wouldn't have immediately rendered the stereotypical character acceptable, it certainly would have stripped away the most problematic aspects. As it stands, Mr. Yunioshi remains a baffling asterisk on Rooney's wildly celebrated career, albeit one he at least appreciated was troubling in retrospect. And there you go, the 10 actors who thought that other actors were better for their role. Hey, at least they admitted it. But let us know if there are any that stood out for you in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and don't forget to also click that little bell icon to be notified of any new videos coming your way. But for now, I have been Kirsten Ria from What Culture, and I'll see you in the next video.